Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Aanuoluwa Adebanjo, and this is Everything Real and True with Aanuoluwa Adebanjo. In today's video, I will be talking about signs of a one-sided friendship and how to address it. One-sided friendship occurs more often than people realize, and there are a lot of things that you get to see when you feel like, or you may actually be in a one-sided friendship. Some of those things I'd be mentioning, and of course, how to address the issue. But before then, if this is your first time here, you are most definitely welcome to this channel. Kindly subscribe, like, share, and leave your comments for me. I always love to hear back from my viewers. And if you're a returning subscriber, you're definitely an OG. Thank you for coming back. As said, I will be diving straight into the signs of one-sided friendship and why it happens. So the number one thing that you can notice is that you feel drained after conversations, after encounters. You feel drained because why? You're usually the one giving in so much. Number two, you are often or usually the one that makes plans. Could be to go out, to hang out, to maybe have a sleepover or whatever. It's always often from you. You don't get the reciprocity, or the other person doesn't reciprocate, such plans, such things. And the third one is that you always feel like you're the one sharing, like you're not getting anything in return from the other person. You're sharing every little tiny detail. You're the one always sharing. It feels like you can sometimes even feel like the chatterbox, because you're often the one just spilling and spilling and spilling, and you rarely get anything in return from the person. The fourth thing you can notice is the fact that you sometimes feel alone in that friendship. Like you don't feel like it's a two people thing or whatever. It just feels like you are alone in that friendship because you are the one usually carrying the burden of the friendship. And the fifth thing you can notice is the fact that when you share something with them, they often don't even keep up. Like maybe you share something that is bothering you, or you share a plan with them, they don't follow up. They don't try to ask you, oh, okay, what is going on with that thing you said. And maybe even when you raise it, they don't even remember that you even mentioned it, like, oh, and all that. So it feels like you are just pouring into an empty basket, and you don't just feel like you're getting anything in return. So anyway, how do you address this issue of a one-sided friendship? Because whether or not we want to admit it, it happens a lot. It happens even more often than we realize, than we try to admit. It could be as a result of the kind of love we have for the person or whatever, but we don't realize that it's even happening until we start to feel drained, until we start to feel left out, until we start to feel like, oh, we're alone in this thing, we're just being friends with ourselves. Okay, so how do you address it? The first thing you should do, you have to be sure of what you're actually feeling, right? And when you're sure that, okay, this thing is really happening, like, oh, you've seen these signs, then the first thing you want to do is to have a conversation. You need to communicate, because just as much as we're different, right? The person also might just be different. The person might not realize that they're doing it. Okay, so you don't need to make any conclusions. You need to converse with this person. You need to communicate. And in communication, I've said it in one of my videos or so, there is a need to often use the I. Start with the I. Don't make it feel like, don't make it seem like it's about them. Bring it to be about you. Or I feel neglected. I feel like I'm alone in this friendship. I don't know what is going on. I often feel like I'm the one, giving into this friendship, and I just like to know if we're on the same chapter, rather than you saying you neglect me most of the time, you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't pick up my calls, you don't keep up with me, you don't follow up with me, make it about you, make it about how you feel. I feel like I am neglected in this friendship. I feel like I'm doing this friendship all by myself. I feel like I'm not being carried along in issues concerning you, in things concerning you. I feel like I'm often the one sharing, oversharing sometimes, because I don't get anything from you. And then you await the person's response. Okay, you await what the person has to say. If the person now says something that okay you can relate with, something that is understandable, if they are able to give you a reasonable reason or whatever, then you know that okay, maybe it's just you assuming, right? The second thing you want to do is to step back a bit, okay? Because sometimes people don't know the value of what they have, right? Until they lose it, right? That's the saying. That's often the saying, right? You don't appreciate what you have until you lose it. So the second thing you can do, it could be after you've had that conversation, depending on the kind of person you are. If you're somebody who often you don't like confrontations, you shy away from conversations, which, well, I don't recommend, I don't advise. But if that is your personality, then you can step back a bit, or that could come in after the communication and you realize that there is no change. You can't really see the changes, right? You can't really see the changes from the time you had that conversation and after. Then you can step back a bit and see if they noticed that you stepped back. Okay, you can step back a bit, see if they actually noticed that, oh, I haven't heard from this person, or this person no longer calls as usual. Maybe you do call every day of every week and you reduce it to maybe once a week. See if they notice. See if they notice these teeny tiny details, things that you do but you no longer do. So if they notice, it means that okay, somewhere deep down they value you, they care, they know that you're doing this. But if they didn't even notice to even bring it up or whatever, then it might be time to move on. The third thing you want to do is to introspect, okay? Because oftentimes than not, you might have done something that could have warranted this person pulling away. Okay, so if you introspect, if you look within, if you look back on the time you've shared and the things you've done, and you cannot really see what could have warranted that one-sided thing, that one-sided relationship, then you might know that okay, it is not about what you did or who you are to them, okay, or whatever. The fourth thing you want to do is to look around. Is there somebody else in the picture that is taking the attention? Because there is a belief that 2 is a company, 3 is a crowd, or whatever. I don't know if I'm getting it right. But yeah, is there somebody else in the picture that could be, taking the attention? Because no matter how, once a friendship is more than 2, there is one person that is more or less a bystander, that is just a plus to those 2, right? Because friendship can rarely be so close, so closely knitted between more than 2 persons. Okay, and that is why sometimes in a more than 2-person friendship, say maybe 3, 4, 5, there will be a stronger click in even inside those friendship, and you would know it that okay, this person is closer to this person than the rest of us. It could be maybe because they grew up together, or they've done things together, or maybe they live together. Okay, maybe they live together and the other people live separately. There could be a lot of things that could factor into that. So you would know that okay, maybe this particular set are closer than the rest. Now, the friendship might be a general thing like, oh, you guys love each other, you hang out, but inside that friendship there are people who are closely knitted even within that friendship. Okay, so you want to check, is there somebody else in the picture that is taking all the attention, and you are just more or less a plus? So you want to know. Okay, and finally, you want to really figure out what works for you, what you are really searching for. Okay, in a case where maybe you discover that you are only a plus in that friendship, is it okay for you? Is it enough for you? Because there are some people who don't really value, or who don't really care, to have this very closely knitted friendship. They could have friends that they reach out to once in a while, friends that they trust. Okay, they trust enough to do things with, to share things with, but they don't necessarily want them to always be in their space, be in their business, and all that. There are friendships like that. So you need to know what exactly is it you want in that friendship, you want from that friendship. Is it, do you want a closely knitted friendship and all that, or are you okay the way that you are you okay, just being there, being that, that distant friend, but it's still part of the clique, it's still part of the friendship or whatever. So you really want to check what is really working for you. So if after you've introspected, you've checked, you've done all these things, and you still feel like, one, your expectations are not being met, two, this person doesn't care, three, it still feels like you're alone and you don't want to be alone in that friendship, then it might be the time to let go of that friendship for your own mental health, for your own emotional health, for your own physical health, because everything would weigh down on you at some point, and it might be too late. Okay, so, and you don't want to get to a point where you completely break down. Okay, so you just might want to let go of that friendship. So I hope you've been able to learn a thing or two from this video. If you did, kindly like this video, share, and leave your comments for me in the comment section. Do not forget to subscribe, and turn on your notification bell to always get notified each time I upload new videos. Thank you for watching. I remain Aanuoluwa Adebanjo, and this has been Everything Real and True with Aanuoluwa Adebanjo. Bye.